Hey there, it's Jared Giannatasio with Pay Pros, and welcome to another edition of Maine HR Compliance. Last week, I talked about HR analytics and artificial intelligence in new HR systems, and I was saying that HR is still very much a people-centric profession, and that we can't put too much faith in a lot of the data that's compiled by some of these systems. I got some comments back from some people and I appreciate all the comments. And there's lots of people following me and commenting on my stuff, which is great. Uh, but I think maybe some people may have misunderstood my point. I actually represent a company that has data analytics for HR, and we have many. We're working with many artificial intelligence systems that we're dealing with right now, and we're going to be releasing fairly soon. So clearly, I'm not arguing that there should be no data analytics or artificial intelligence. I was simply making the point, like a lot of times I made a sports analogy where I said professional teams know a lot more about the players that they want to take from the college ranks or from other teams than you in HR will ever have on your people. And yet they still get things wrong. I guess a way to make the point even more clear is to say that a lot of times when you get things wrong, when government gets things wrong, is the same reason why sometimes HR gets things wrong. And that's because they either ignore human nature or they misread human nature in that particular situation. Because clearly, with any government, any kind of legislation that goes through, it's always based on some kind of data that says that it's a good idea. And yet the failures are really ones that they misread the human nature. And one interesting trend in HR, or something that HR will have to deal with, is the trend of open offices. It's a trend that started about 20 years ago. I think it was Google that was building their big palace in the late 90s, their big corporate palace there in Silicon Valley, and they made everything open, no walls, no doors. It's all open, and everyone's collaborating and all that, or at least that was the vision. And we're finding a lot of data that was not such a good idea. And it was, I guess, because they had misread the human nature, that they misread how valuable people consider their privacy to be. Um, Here's some of the data that was compiled by SHRM, actually. Almost 60% of employees said they would need more private space for problem solving. About half say that it's simply too distracting to not have any walls in between them and their coworkers. And 70% say that it actually decreases face-to-face interactions. Think about that. You kind of have this forced face-to-face interactions, and these guys actually say that it decreases it. And then the other statistic that if you ever have this conversation with a boss or with the owner of your company and you have open office spaces, and you want to reverse that trend at your own company, that there's a 22% increase in people calling in sick versus traditional office space. So obviously use your own system to compile that data so that when you quote the statistic, you're quoting your own company's history on sick days and not that 22%, which is a national non-industry specific number. But anyways, if you take a number right from your system of record, that can really help in your discussion. Now, open office space should not be confused with hoteling or some of these other flexible and agile concepts in an office layout. Those are actually a good thing and actually a necessary thing. I work for Pay Pros, and we have a Boston hub in Tingsboro, Massachusetts, and our headquarters is in Florida. And so when I go down to Tingsboro, which is about once a month, there's an office there for me. It's not my office, but it's a private place that I can close the door and I can use it to make calls for the day that I'm down there. And then there's also another space down at the headquarters where I'm able to use for the time that I'm down there. So I'm able to put my stuff and really consider this desk to be mine for the time that I'm down there. That's a concept called hoteling, which is very, very necessary in this era of telecommuters, because there's no telecommuters that spend all of their time working out of the house. A lot of time, there are times where they go back to that regional office and even go back to those headquarters of their company. And there needs to be a space that they can call their own when they get there. And yet, as a practical matter, you can't have a space for them that's there, 365, because they're only going to be there 2 or 3 days a year, maybe. So anyways, so that's a concept called hoteling, which SHRM has more information on it. If you want to know where that is, I can direct you to that. Just ask your question in the comments here. But some of the new trends. And coming up this Thursday, on Valentine's Day, we have getting the most bang for your buck as far as benefits. And that's going to be hosted by Steve Gerlach, a ERISA lawyer from Bernstein Shore in Portland, and that's going to be at Pineland Farms. We've got about 90 RSVPs, so we're really close to the limit that we can allow in that room. But just Google Maine HR compliance, and you'll find the Eventbrite link to sign up and register, so you can reserve a seat. So anyways, hope to see you there on Thursday, and we'll be talking to you next week. Thanks so much.